Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Well, folks, welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. As Winston would say, we've got a good show for you today. In addition to having my co-host, my regular co-host that'll be here, we've got a variety of things to talk about, from alligators to, I think, CWD to also a piece of legislation that was signed by the governor last week that is wrong-headed. And I know I'm baiting you, but I want to tell you about this coming up later in the show. The river readings today are brought to us by Coca-Cola Bottling Company. Apalachicola River at Bluntstown is 3.3 feet and falling. Folks, it's low. Choctawhatchee River, and let me say this, always fish either a stable river or increasing, but fishing a fallen river is generally not productive. Choctawhatchee River at Caravelle, the river level is 2.4 feet, and it is stable, so probably better to fish the Choctawhatchee. Tides are brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home. The high tide today is this June 25th. High tide is 12:39 p.m. The low tonight is 11:13 p.m. So if you're going to go this morning, fish till the high tide, and then call it a day. The weather today is brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning. High today is 93 degrees. The low today is 79 degrees, and that was at about 5 to 6 this morning, so we're already past the low. Folks, I was up this morning and it said low was 79, but this morning about 5:30, my truck, and I took my daughter to the airport, the truck registered 83 degrees at 5:30 this morning. It is hot, so watch when you're out right now. Chance of rain today is not that great. It's only about 43%. That should be early afternoon, so not a good chance for rain, but it is what it is. Wind is light. Be light wind out of the west northwest in the morning till about noon. Then that sea breeze. We're in that time of year where the sea breeze kicks in usually by 1 o'clock or so, and then it gets pretty strong. It'll be about 10 to 11 miles an hour out of the south or southwest this afternoon. The water temperature is balmy right now. It is 84 degrees, expected to get up to about 85, 86 out on the beach. Folks, that's all of our weather and tides and everything. We're going to take our first break now and be back with you in a moment. Well, folks, welcome back.
Good morning.
I wanted to introduce to you Ken Paramore. Ken and I, of course, I've said this many times before, we worked for a number of years. We put up with each other for a number of years and had some unique experiences, but welcome, Ken.
Winston's scraping the bottom of the barrel again.
For you and I.
Once a month now, right?
Yeah, that's
speaking of
right.
Winston, you know, we do have something we have to say.
Yes, we do. Miss Gail.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday from us. She probably doesn't know that we know this, but happy birthday to you. Winston's wife today chalks up another birthday. So a great lady, and always got a smile on her face. Never seen her when she's upset or.
I think that's what makes this whole
thing work. Probably so. But anyway, happy birthday, Miss Gail. What's been going on with you?
It's been pitiful.
Could you, the snapper, I suppose you've caught so many you couldn't put them in a drum.
Have you noticed the wind in the last month?
I can't handle it. It makes me sick.
I've gone once, and I thought it was going to be a decent day, and it ended up being a really bumpy day.
Yeah.
And when I got out there, you can tell when you go through the pass, you can tell. And it's, well, I'll go anyway. And went to my two closest spots
Right.
you know, to the pass. And one's about 7 miles and one's about 5. And it was nothing but triggerfish on them. We didn't even catch an undersized
And they're not
fish.
legal now, are they?
Well, they closed like
Just
2 days
closed,
before that,
right.
or 3.
Yeah, just closed.
And I bounced around so much. The trolling motor is coming out of the water. The bow of the boat it's just miserable when it's like that. So after that, it blew and blew and blew. And then there was a week before last, I think, there was some doable days, but I had appointments and other commitments, so I couldn't go. So I've gone once.
Wow. I
didn't catch a fish.
Yeah. I had a friend that actually went, and he called me and Andy Skates. Andy shared with me a snapper and one snapper and a nice lab, a grouper. They caught, he and his wife, Nancy, caught a nice red grouper, and so that was really good. I enjoyed that.
There's been a lot of catches of them, you know, posted and otherwise. But a lot of them, you know, have bigger boats and go further, and it's just, if it's miserable, I don't blame you. I'm not fooling with it.
One thing he was telling me is that at one spot he was fishing, there were a lot of sharks, and he said just as soon as you hooked a fish, the sharks would sweep in, grab your fish, and he said then all of a sudden it ziz it, and then it's gone.
Everybody's complaining about the sharks.
Yeah, everybody's complaining about it.
So maybe later this week.
Right.
I'm planning
good deal. I hope so. This morning was pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
this morning's not too bad.
Let me ask you a question. Do the tides affect snapper fishing?
There's people that do, especially now when we just come off a full moon.
Right.
The tides, not so much the up and down, is the speed or the
how fast they're moving.
Yeah, and sometimes it's going so fast you have to use a lot of weight to get to where you want to go, and if you don't, you know, it takes you.
How deep of water are you fishing?
70 to 100.
Oh, okay.
90 is pretty common for what I do with single engine boat, but you know, a lot of the guys are going 130 plus, you know, and without twin engines, I just, real calm day I will, but the tides do flow strong, and sometimes it's hard to fish, but I don't think it makes a difference as far as up and down. Now the moon, they say, does.
Right.
So.
And I've never paid a lot of attention to the moon, but I know it does. I know the tides have everything to do with inshore fishing, and I've mentioned this before. Yeah. If you like to fish for trout, redfish, flounder inshore, just watch your tides. Try to fish an incoming tide if you can. Forget that period when tides are dead. You can fish if you want, but then, you know, when they're moving again, but because bait moves when the tide's moving, so it's pretty easy to understand. So anyway, listen, we're going to take our next break now. When we come back, we're going to talk a few things that you want to mention, Ken, and also we're going to mention about the upcoming alligator season. Well, welcome back, folks. Ken, we were talking during the break. The next Wild Turkey Longbeards banquet is
Bay County Longbeards
is coming up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell us what
we're gonna have it August 16th, and that's a Friday night, of course. They're always on Friday nights. First United Methodist Church downtown, where we've always had it. Only place we ever had it. And I want to stress that it's our 10th anniversary.
Wow.
So we've been whittling away at this for 10 years, and we kind of got it perfected, except a couple years that COVID intervened in our plans. But this is our 10th, and I'm really striving and hoping to make it as big as we've ever had.
Where does the money, now for people that are just watching, where does the money go that's raised at this bank?
Well, first, we pay bills first. So once we pay the bills and get the venue paid, the caterer paid, NWTF paid with the product that they send us, they call it a banquet package.
Right.
Then that goes into our
The
state, which goes back to Habitat.
Auctioneer, has to be paid.
Everybody's got their hand in our pocket to make the thing get off the track, or stay on the track anyway. But yeah, the money goes towards Habitat and turkey restoration throughout the state.
And let me say this also. There's a lot of organizations that do things, and you don't really know where the money goes exactly. But one thing, and I'm not in the hierarchy doing the banquet anymore. Ken is doing this, and God bless you for doing it. But this chapter has been recognized every year for the high number of money that goes back into the program and is not spent on anything frivolous, even to the point of recognizing a chapter and chapter members. So Ken, that's a testament.
And being around the people that's associated with it, you can tell that where their heart is and their mind is, and it's in the right place as far as what they do with it. So,
what are tickets? Are they going to be the same?
I don't have ticket info yet,
okay.
But that'll be coming out soon.
Next month we'll talk about that.
Yeah, normally, yeah. Okay. I'll even have table options and sponsor fees, and it's normally $75, $80 for a couple. 50 to 60 for individuals, okay. And then of course the tables they vary.
Hopefully that won't change, but
no, it won't be too bad. But okay. They haven't sent me that yet. Okay. They're working on it. All right. Hopefully have some good sponsored table prizes or gifts, if you will. And then I haven't seen the core package, so I don't know what's going to be on the auction table yet. But also looking for any donations. Anything we can get donated, i.e., coolers, fishing stuff, hunting stuff, that's 100% for us instead of having to go out and buy it.
Yep.
So we'll see, but we're hoping for the best anyway. Y'all come see us.
Talk about CWD for just a minute.
CWD.
I know you wanted to mention that. Chronic wasting disease.
Yeah, the FWC has come up with another little program.
Okay.
And I just got a news release on it the other day. But they are seeking meat processors and taxidermists from select counties to help with the testing. And they're going to start this program. The ones who are selected for the program will receive $20 for each deer head submitted for testing, and taxidermists will receive $30 for each sample taken and submitted for testing. So the people have to apply online. There's certain criteria that they have to meet. I don't know how they're going to select or when, obviously, because we're not in the loop anymore. But it's an effort for them, I suppose, to get more tests done on more, volumes of deer. And as you know how processors are, they go through some deer. So if you figure $20 a head for a processor.
How long it takes from the time a head is turned over to a processor before the hunter's notified, yay or nay?
No.
And I've wondered that.
I would imagine that it was pretty quick. When they asked the public last year to turn them in. Who knows of the volumes? But it also says selected counties, so it's not going to be probably statewide as far as a great abundance. But it's going to be a mass project.
Folks, chronic wasting disease testing takes two forms. It takes an active form and a passive. What Ken's talking about is the active form, where people that hunt deer, they take the deer head in for testing. That is the active form of testing. They also have a passive form of testing where officers, law enforcement officers, biologists, others in the commission, if they pick up a animal that's been hit by a vehicle and unfortunately killed, then those are also tested. And I think it's 1,400 or 1,500 animals have been looked at and tested since the original positive test on a deer in Walton County. I say Walton County, that is correct, right? I'm sorry, Holmes County. Holmes County a year or a year and a half ago. So, and that's the only animal, but they have looked at a lot of deer, and they're continuing to look at these, and they look at a gland in I think it's in the neck of the deer as well.
Yeah, the taxidermists have to submit the gland.
Right, it's a gland that they look at.
Processors are just turning in their
Right.
heads. But if they participate, then at $20 a head, and if you do 1,000 deer at $20 a head and turn them in.
I was in Salt Lake City last week, went out there with my son to take some furniture back. And I talked to a hunter there, a bow hunter, he hunts elk, and he asked me, he said, how's the chronic wasting disease situation in Florida? And I said, holy smokes, you know about this in Florida? He said, oh yeah, I read where it's,
well, when we found it, we had never had it, and it makes news.
It makes news, it made national news, and that's not the kind of news you want to make.
I remember, working, you'd count, when you knew when Colorado got it, and then you knew when Michigan, and it kept coming and getting down. So,
and then we started having all of these rules, and it's just crazy the way things have developed. But hopefully, and I did ask a question if they think that this is possibly the only animal that was positive, and they said they don't think it was. But anyway.
They also testing downstate too. It's not just up here.
Yeah, that's correct.
They're testing everywhere.
Very good point. Very good point. Folks, let's take our next break now and keep your seat, and we'll be right back with you. Glad you're back. Ken and I were just talking about several things. One thing that is coming up, and let me mention this, is the alligator hunting season in Florida. I don't know if you dealt with it per se when you were a line captain and had, I know you dealt with the regulations, and occasionally you deal with a few hardheads who couldn't follow the rules, but
that'd be about it.
But anyway, I dealt with them on the phone trying to explain the rules to them, and then you dealt with them.
I can remember, when we didn't have a alligator hunting season. So
let me go back and tell you this. Did you know that when we first started in Florida with the hunting season, and you and I have we're on forever, but when we first started, our agency was threatened with a lawsuit, and the Florida Audubon Society threatened to sue Game and Fish back in the late 80s because we had a lot of alligators, and they felt like that we were going to allow people to hunt them into extinction or extirpate them, get rid of the population in Florida. And our agency director, Colonel Bob Brantley, he said, we're going to meet this challenge, and I'll give all the credit to him. He had directors to bring back to him recommendations, and what they did was selected a number of water bodies.
Yeah, they did certain places.
They started out with 10 or 12. They did surveys. They went at night. They took spotlights. They counted them. You've seen them at night, what their eyes look like red Christmas tree lights. And then they calculated the number of shoreline miles, alligators that were over 4 feet that were deemed to be harvestable, and that's how we ended up with our first season, and it has grown exponentially since then. Florida now is only second to Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken, in the total number of alligators that are killed in the meats. The meats used, they're not disposed of, and the animal's not disposed of and wasted. They use the meat, process of meat. You can go buy it now at a lot of your seafood places. They use the hides. The heads are sold. As somebody once told me, they use everything but the grunt. So anyway, but they do use them. 7,000 permits will be issued, I believe, and then they also, for the first time this year, they have a bonus hunt, and I think they call it a special opportunity hunt. And I don't quite know all of the rules yet. I've got to read more about this, but it'll be a special hunt that'll be offered after or in combination with this regular hunt. So anyway, the $272 is what it costs for a person that applies and is drawn The application window is already closed, so if you're hearing this and you go, well, I want to apply, well, you're too late this year, maybe next year. I think June the 3rd, the application window closed. But Ken, let me mention one thing, and I know we don't talk about politics per se on this show, but the governor signed a bill last week, and I've got real reservations about this bill. It has to do with bears. And basically the House and the Senate passed a bill that said if a bear is causing a perceived threat to you, you can kill the bear, you can use legal force, or if it threatens your property. I think and I like our governor, don't get me wrong, but I think this is going to complicate the life of an officer who has to respond to this kind of call.
Well, bears are kind of like alligators. They're not a very popular species
among some people.
Amongst our populace. So you're going to have them on both sides, that, the ones that love them and then the ones that hate them.
Correct.
And we ran into that with alligators, and we still enforced alligator laws.
Correct.
And there's times when we made an alligator case, we really felt like we did something, and a certain segment of the population thought we should allow somebody to kill them and have them and keep them and all that. So without reading...
I know you're right.
Without reading the bill and knowing what is contained in it and what the circumstances would be.
Right.
But yeah, sitting here at this table, I can see where it could be a nightmare. But I don't have any problem with somebody that, he's coming in their house.
Oh, I agree.
On their front porch.
But
their dogs, their pens, where they've got livestock or whatever.
But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think FWC has ever gone to the state attorney and charged anyone where a bear was threatening a person or coming in their house or killing their dog.
You'll have a consultation anytime any charges are filed anyway.
Yeah.
So, and even in this case, the prosecutor's got the ultimate say on who gets prosecuted and who doesn't. So,
well, I like our governor, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like this bill was, it's just going to make the life of an officer difficult if they've got to respond to this kind of call. And anyway, so we'll see.
We'll all live through it.
Oh, I know we will. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
And we hope that it doesn't lead to a mass killing of a bunch of bears that didn't need to be killed.
And I don't think it will.
Every circumstance should, deem if it's appropriate or not.
Correct.
And that's why we do have our prosecutors. Right. So,
folks, listen, we thank you for joining us this morning. We're about out of time, but please visit the sponsors of this show and let them know that you appreciate them sponsoring Panhandle Outdoors. And with that,
see you next time.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.